Hello everybody, and welcome back to the Kingdom Hearts 3 playthrough. So, it's all kicking off in Monsteropolis. And obviously Randall's continuing to be a sword, but obviously there's also other things occurring right now. And there is going to be a fun fight coming up a little bit later down the line. I mean, to be fair, there's going to be some fun things in general occurring a little bit later down the line. And also the serious lack of fluorite, adamantite and Damascus right now is killing me. I have to say, this is probably what... So, I would say that for the most part, it's really easy to get the various materials that you need for synthesis, for upgrading your keyblades, etc. But I will say that I do wish there was an easier way of getting your hands on adamantite and Damascuses, because really you don't have any halfway decent options for it until you are like right at the end of the game. While I would say that the game does a pretty good job of doling out those items in treasure chests and as prizes for things as you go, it's definitely not perfect. Because I mean, the way that I generally would probably prefer to play, and this is just me, is I'd like to fully upgrade a Keyblade and then move on to the next one. But I know that equally that's not how they intended the game to be played, because the way that they clearly intended the game to be played is that sort of you levelled up various Keyblades at the same time and sort of mixed and matched as you went along. And you're telling me about a lucky emblem. I am trying to see it. Where is the lucky emblem? I'm actually trying to remember where this one really is. And oh, it's there. That wasn't too bad. I was expecting I was going to be here for absolutely ever, but I was not. Also, Sully really likes posing for me, just going like, scream! That was a really terrible John Goodman impression. I apologise. There's very few sort of actual impressions that I can do successfully. I mean, I can do some, but yes, Sully is not one of them. However, I will say that Monsters, Inc. is probably the first real film that has a character that I ever really found that I could do an impression of. And that was the wonder that is Roz. Who doesn't appear in the game, unfortunately, which it's a shame because Roz is obviously such an iconic character in the Monsters, Inc. film, but these things just happen. But yes, it's just one of those things of, I used to be able to do it quite well, but as I've grown older, I don't know whether it's because of my lack of proper singing training, I've not really treated my vocal cords as well as I perhaps should have done, or it might just be that the way in which I do that voice doesn't quite work out for me as well as it used to anymore. But it's just like, I'm watching you, Wazowski, always watching. So yes, that's my my Roz voice, and also hello Roger Craig Smith.
We gotta get to Boo's door.
Yeah. The whole factory. It's a total mess.
I know, Mike, but right now we just have to keep moving.
Yeah. Back off.
Now, obviously going through all of that, one of the things that it's probably worth pointing out is the whole thing with the way codes work in the Monsters, Inc. universe. So you have oh god, let me just see,
Ready to descend.
because I am terrible at this.
Stand aside. We'll get this fire put out pronto.
So obviously in the original film, it is it's code 2319 when the sock appears, and basically 23rd letter is W, 19th is an S, so it's white sock, and that is just awesome. I'm not quite sure what 7216 stands for. Because there is not a 72nd letter of the alphabet. And that's a little bit annoying. Because then you can't sort of, figure out like 7216. Because yeah, it doesn't quite work out as well. Because if you're going to sort of say like fire in code, you would probably do 69 69185 would probably be a code for fire, because it's so yeah, I'm not quite sure where they got their coding from in the flames, but hey, these things happen. There's a lot of fire going on, so you do just have to just handle all of that. But hey, at least the CDA guys are here to help bring things under control at least a little bit.
Thank you. You did great.
Yes, sir. We'll be on our way.
Time to go. Yeah.
So I will say I do like this bit of Monstropolis, because it is sort of an area of the factory that we've not really ever seen before in the films, or, well, I mean, you might have seen it in previous video games, because there was actually a Monsters Inc. video game once upon a time. I think I do actually remember playing like a demo disc version of it. I think it only had like 2 levels on it, and I don't remember really doing very well or getting very far with it, but I do remember it. I mean, actually, sort of, you think back to sort of the early eras of Pixar, or at least sort of the mid-noughty, like early noughties particularly, and, well, late 90s, early noughties, the fact that obviously you had
Hope we find some ingredients around
a couple of
here.
Toy Story games that people really quite like. You've also got the delight that is, well, you had the Monsters Inc. game. You also had a video game adaptation of The Incredibles, which I did own once upon a time. But it was a bit of a glitchy, annoying mess. So I never actually finished it, because it just didn't work properly. And so what I ended up definitely doing for at least a bit of it was managing to activate cheats, and that got me so far, but it didn't get me to the end of the game because I still couldn't beat a particular level or 2. I can't remember which level it was for the life of me. I can't remember whether it was just getting to the Omnidroid and that just did me in. But yeah, I unfortunately never finished that game, and I sold it because it frustrated me too much. It's one of those things where part of me now is just like, I sort of regret getting rid of it, but then also part of me is just like, well, it was one of those where I'm just like, it's never going to get beaten anyway. It's very much in the same vein as I did buy Street Fighter 4 once upon a time because I just really wanted to play it, and I thought, oh, this will be fun. Everyone's saying that sort of it's the most accessible Street Fighter's ever been, and then it was just like, I can't actually successfully pull off any special moves, because one, it was probably because I was playing on an Xbox 360, and I know that the analog stick was not great on that, but also my brain just doesn't work in fighting game mechanics. So unless you're sort of giving me different button presses to pull these things off, don't throw complex stick movements at me whilst I'm in frantic by the minute combat, or by the millisecond combat. It's like, I can deal with sort of fast-paced combat, but I need buttons rather than stick motions to be able to pull these things off successfully. So yes, that's another one that I definitely ditched. Definitely sold that one on because it was like, no, it's not happening. Give up on that one entirely. And I can't remember whether I also got rid of Shrek Super Slam. Had a couple of Shrek games back in the day. Definitely had Shrek 2, the video game, and I really quite enjoyed that actually. It was not the worst thing in the world. It wasn't great, don't get me wrong, but it was not the worst thing in the world. It was relatively enjoyable. I think I might have 100%ed it actually back in the day. But then I also had Shrek Super Slam, and that was, I'd never finished it because it was surprisingly difficult towards the end, and also my disc ended up scratching, and I was never able to sort of really play it after that because the disc just didn't work. So I can't remember whether I ever did get rid of it or not. But it was okay. Because honestly, you end up missing out on some things. Some games you will never finish. I'm determined that I will have 0 games in my backlog one day. Like, definitely determined that that is going to be the case. But it is just going to take me a while to get there. Especially considering I know that a couple of the games that I own are really quite cheap in their difficulty. Mario Sonic at the Olympic Games, Mario Strikers Charged Football. Those two are prime examples. Also, I'm at what I believe, and have been for many, many years, at one of the most difficult bosses in Final Fantasy X. So probably should try and finish that at some point. But it's just sort of trying to overcome those hurdles, and once you've overcome those hurdles, it becomes a lot more bearable to deal with. And I mean, in part, looking back at some of those old games that I know that I struggled with back in the day. For example, the joy that is Sonic Adventure 2 Battle, just getting stuck on all sorts of various things and putting it down and coming back to it, and putting it down and coming back to it. And then the same with Sonic Heroes, because the final boss of Team Rose, that was a nightmare. And then it was just the alligators, or the crocodiles, or whatever they are. They just proved to be a little bit too much for me at one point in my life. So that was one of those of just like, well, that one ended up sitting and waiting in the wings for a very long time. I'm trying to think of any other video games that I've played over the years where I've kind of gotten partway through and just gone, nope, this is too difficult right now. I mean, actually I should probably, you know, check out my backloggery, which I always use to find out sort of games I've beaten, games I haven't beaten, games I've completed, etc. It's my nice little safe zone for doing things. I definitely remember hitting a choke point in Brutal Legend right towards the end, but that's a separate issue. That was a choke point. I didn't leave the game for ages and then come back to it. So there's definitely nothing on the 360 that's occurred to. I suppose there was the original Kid Icarus, which I played on my 3DS, because that's obviously really difficult opening, and then it gets easier. And it took me a while to get into that one. I suppose the same with Zelda 2: The Adventure of Link, because I remember I got to the delight that is Death Mountain, and then Death Mountain ruined me. But I did manage to eventually come back and beat that damn thing, so I've got proof that I have done it. I did, you know, use the joy of restore points, but still, I will take restore points if they'll help me get through games that are older and don't necessarily have the quality of life features that make more modern games a lot more bearable.
Boo! Thank you. We gotta follow that pipe.
What?
Oh yes, that's one. Spectrobes 2 Beyond the Portals. I got sort of, I think, a boss fight or two just before sort of the final area that I got stuck on. I don't know how I managed to eventually get through there, but I did somehow, miraculously. So I suppose it was that. And I suppose that actually that's probably about it in terms of games that truly sort of... Oh no, oh yeah, Nintendo Land, I forgot about that one. Yeah, there were a couple of mini games in Nintendo Land that gave me a run for my money, and I really seriously did not like them. I suppose there was also the original American McGee's Alice, but I know that sort of I did sort of manage to force my way through that one, so it wasn't so much abandoning it until such a time as I can move onward. And yeah, that is sort of pretty much it. Oh no, there was Naruto Ultimate Ninja 2, and that was another one which I got stuck on. I think it was the fight against Orochimaru with the third Hokage. Hokage. And I just got stuck there, and that was...
Seriously, if I didn't know any better, I'd say you
it was a bit of a nightmare, but hey, it's alright.
Alright, it's not much farther.
And thank God for that, it is not much farther, and actually, looking at this, we are very, very, very close to the boss fight of this area. Now, I definitely recommend stocking up your items, just sort of preparing as best you can. Because while the fight that we're about to go into is not necessarily the most challenging thing in the world, as I said, the majority of fights in Kingdom Hearts 3 are not the most challenging things in the world, so you're not necessarily going to be having a hell of a time, but you should still just be on your guard at least a little bit. Just in case, you know? Just to be safe. And I suppose, since, you know, we're just sort of rolling through this final corridor, it's quite fun. And before we actually get to the boss fight, I feel now is probably as good a time as any to mention that I have officially self-published my debut novel. So, you've heard me probably potentially talk about it a lot over the years, more so in the past sort of couple of months than anything else. But it is finally actually available for people to purchase. You can go and buy my book. And that just makes me really, really happy. So if you hop on over to Amazon, either .com.co.uk or whatever version of Amazon you have in your country, it should be available on all of them, if not most of them. And just look up The Burning Ash by Richard Kish. You should be able to find it. You can get it as both a physical book and an ebook. And it's fantastical adventure that sort of is just my love letter to video games and medieval romance and all the fantasy novels that I have read along the way as I've grown up. And there are definitely at least a few Kingdom Hearts references in there. So honestly, I've just tied it in right there, so it all makes sense. And yes, I would love it if you were interested enough to, get a copy, and hopefully you enjoy it. But obviously that is enough shilling for today. I've got plenty of time to shill later. Now it is time for the boss fight of Monstropolis. Or at least it will be as soon as we have exited the door vault. And yeah, he wants us to take a picture of a CDA off, so we can't quite do that until we return to the world. So we'll have to wait a little bit for then, but it'll be okay. Also, you know what, I was just like, what am I going to put this Damascus into? That was pretty much my only option, so, hey. But yes, as we climb up these stairs, right here is where our boss fight is gonna go down.
Everybody look for Boo's door. Oh. Randall.
Didn't you learn your lesson with that pile of junk fiasco?
Oh, I learned a lot.
Oh.
Wait, Mike. Something's different.
Oh, please. It's just more junk.
An unversed!
Mike, time to reach down and let the scary out.
Oh, I'm ready, Sully. I'm ready!
Finally. This is exactly what I need to take over the company. But first, I am getting rid of you.
Attack!
So, here we go. This, my friends, is the Lump of Horror. It's not the most of exciting of names, but it is actually a really fun boss fight. It does spend a lot of its time sort of tackling you, so as long as you can keep your distance, that will do a pretty good job of handling this thing. And actually it is quite a fun design because you've got all the canisters sort of poking out of it that is just a really sort of fun design choice. And actually the other thing that I really like about this is that it's, while I don't know whether it's intentional, it harks back to that whole sort of ink blot look and feel of Epic Mickey, which was one of the most interesting things that that game had going for it. It's just the same that, you know, the rest of the game was so utterly mind-numbingly boring. So, the lump of horror in terms of the journal entry: a hideous, gloopy giant that mucked about in Monsters Incorporated. The fact that it listened to Randall is enough to tell you it wasn't very nice. It shapeshifted and sprouted a dark army of arms from the ground. But as I'm sure you can expect, Sora and the gang will reduce it to a lifeless pile of machinery. We just haven't quite gotten to that point just yet. The main thing is you sort of want to use fire, water, blizzard or thunder as sort of they just sort of home in on the lump of horror, and if you have either or the water or fire cufflinks, you can then get access to the Tsar level spells and therefore deal with this a lot quicker. And also this phase is maybe a little bit annoying in the sense that he keeps sort of wafting you away, and there are so many arms everywhere. But it is just a really fun design, and it does end up being a really quite unique fight. And yeah, I just decided to bring in King's Flare here because obviously we unlocked it. We did make use of it a little bit earlier, I think, and it is a really quite fun summon. I'd say it's probably one of the easiest ones to actually make use of because, as you can see, I just sort of sat about, did the sort of Faraga Roar type thing, or whatever it is, and honestly, that did some pretty good damage in the grand scheme of things. But yes, I think not too much longer now, and the lump of horror should be no more than a mere lump. But what I will say is that Monstropolis has arguably one of the most amazing cutscenes in the entire franchise. And I don't mean that in the sense of sort of visual spectacle. I don't mean that in the sense of grandiose narrative arcs. I just mean that in the sense of actually sort of watching it. It's ridiculous and ludicrous, and I love it. But obviously, we will see that as soon as the lump of horror is dead, and now is, and nice, we have access to cure magic. I don't know if that was a cura or cure, but either way, I will take it. I think it was cura, but hey, doesn't really matter. We have more curing abilities.
All right, and in you go.
There's no place for you here anymore, Randall. Now we're in the business of making children laugh.
You think it's funny? Hilarious. The more that you whine, the funnier it gets.
Enjoy your extended vacation.
You clowns are gonna be sorry when I find my way back and I finally take over this place.
Gators in the house again.
Are you kidding? Oh, this one he's in for it. Come here, you. Oh. Get back here. Gotcha.
So long. Smell you later.
And now we just need to do one last thing.
Hang on. I have a way to lock him out.
Oh.
Okay, Boo. Time to go home. You must be tuckered out. But we'll play together real soon. Huh? Whoa!
What now?
I mean, honestly, I'd like to ask that question as well. What the hell's gonna happen now? Oh, I'm sure it'll be fun either way. I mean, honestly, it is. It's easily one of my favourite cutscenes in the game, for reasons that you will see shortly.
Who are you? Gotta say, that strange facade had me fooled at first, brother. Oh, wait a sec. Oh yeah, you were at the cathedral. And hey, who are you to call anyone strange?
Say, do we know this guy?
We haven't ever met in the flesh. I am Vanitas. Oh, this is the part where you spout some mumbo-jumbo and disappear, right? This whole world was powered by Scream. They converted the screams of human children into energy. And this very company was what made it all happen. It's as rich a source of negative emotion as we'll ever find.
For the last time, we already stopped doing that.
Did you? Then how do you explain all these canisters of surplus Scream? This facility was everything I could hope for, and I was lucky enough to find a pawn whose heart was darkened by thoughts of revenge.
You mean Randall?
All Randall ever cared about was winning. And this guy took advantage of that weakness.
My heart is made of just one thing, and the unversed collected enough screams and sadness from those children to reconstruct it.
Yeah, and the whole time they were trashing our company in the process!
But even with all this negative emotion, my heart is still incomplete. I need something else. The half of me that sleeps on inside of your heart. Vanitas! Huh? Ventus. What a strange place to slither off to. You insignificant speck. What are you talking about? Oh, you wouldn't remember. When you were little, you formed a special bond with a boy named Ventus who joined with your heart.
Is he saying that one of the missing Keyblade wielders is inside Sora's heart?
How is that possible? Now, you will return Ventus to me. Donald, Goofy.
The king told us about this. Ventus wasn't able to defeat Vanitas. They struck each other down, and then the king said that Ventus's heart never returned to him.
You're not gonna do that to Sora. No way.
Stay out of this. Join your heart with mine.
Need to look.
Let me go.
Over here, Sully!
Close it, quick! Boo!
Hey!
That was awesome.
Thank you.
We owe you.
No, we should be thanking you. We never would have managed to get Boo this far if you hadn't come along to help.
And finally, we found her door.
Boo, I know how excited you were to come play with Mike and Sully. Sorry we dragged you into this.
What's that? Get in the store with that face.
Hey, you are way scarier.
Gosh, I think you're both scary.
What? Oh.
Okay, Boo. Time to go.
Kitty.
We'll catch up soon, kid.
Mike Wazowski.
No, that's Donald, Boo.
Mike Wazowski.
Better. I'll see you, kid.
Boo! So long! Sorry for all the headaches we caused.
Don't mention it. And actually, it was kind of nice having a little adventure for old time's sake.
Yeah, the flying and the falling. And hey, let's not do that paint thing again. But nothing like running for our lives to get the heart pumping.
I had a great time.
Donald, all you did was complain.
I did not.
Any chance that we can drop by again?
The door's always open.
And maybe Boo can join us.
Yeah. Bye.
For the record, I still get the most laughs.
Happy exterminating!
Thank you.
And with that, our time in Monstropolis with Mike and Sully is done. Now sit back, relax, because we've got the Happy Gear, which is a really fun Keyblade, and yes, enjoy the plethora of plot that is going to hit right about now.
We should go to the Realm of Darkness.
No way.
You can't go there until you get the power of waking.
But come on, we have to do something. If we don't act, the organization's gonna win.
Oh.
Sora, do you even know how to get to the Realm of Darkness?
Well, Riku and the King do.
won't tell you.
Nope, not until you complete your own mission.
Huh?
The king?
Riku?
Is this a bad time?
Enzo.
So, I have some news about Ansem's code, and the replica we need for Roxas's heart.
Oh.
And?
First, the replica. Evan is still missing, but we found some of his research. I'll see what I can learn from it.
You've got our thanks.
As for Ansem the Wise's data, we've discovered a very interesting passage. I'll read you exactly what he wrote. I have discovered 3 unique hearts inside of Sora's. One is Roxas. The second has been with Sora for nearly as long. And a third has resided in Sora's heart for even longer. Most of his life, in fact. This is a truly astonishing discovery. While these hearts have now melded with Sora, grown silent and indistinct, Sora retains the memories of all 3. The memories have been compartmentalized, each placed in its own box, so to speak. I surmise the hearts can be awoken, provided that each of them is returned to the box that contains the correct memories. Unite the heart with its memories, and provide it a suitable body within which it may flourish. And I believe any or all 3 of these people can be made real again.
Roxas and 2 more?
Who else?
Oh, thanks, Enzo.
Certainly. Take care.
3 different hearts.
One of them's Roxas. The other one must be Ventus.
You didn't believe what they just said.
Well, it's kinda all we got to go on. Sora, do you know who the third one might be?
That's all I can't count.
Hey, that's not related. Donald!
Tell me, will you stay here?
I can't shake the feeling that these waters touch another shore I've visited.
The Destiny Islands.
Oh, you've heard of them?
Yes, they are quite lovely. A far cry from this wasteland.
I'm staying. Someone will come for me.
These waters are the in-between of dark and light. It shores the margins of day and night. They brought you and I together. So why not also you and another?
Yes. Who's there?
You. Master, I must have a word with you.
Master.
So now you mock me. Do you recall those experiments of the heart you bade me cease? Among the test subjects was a girl. She had lost her memory, just as I had. But you can reconstruct memories you did with Sora. I believe you have seen the girl's memories.
What is your question?
Where did you put the girl?
What girl?
Very well, if you won't tell me here.
I think you should go.
A lost guardian of light? You wait here for the king and his fool. Where's your Keyblade?
Don't need it.
No more. I'll go.
You are wise. Poor thing. I mustn't leave you with nothing.
Is this feeling?
Huh?
Hiya, Sora.
Hey, Dale. What's up?
Chip just got a message from Merlin. Chip, I got him. Hey, Chipper. Hi, Sora.
Hi, Chip. Does Merlin need us for something?
Yep, I think it's got something to do with some kind of book. He said he'll have a cup of tea while he waits for you. A cup of tea where? Oh, no. He said tea, but he didn't say where. Do you mean he left before you could find out? He's a tough wizard to pin down. Anyway, message delivered. Bye.
Where could he be having tea?
I don't know.
Say, if you were gonna have a cup of tea, wouldn't you want to have it at the best restaurant that you could find?
Oh, of course.
Chef's Bistro.
Yeah! Let's go drop by Twilight Town and we can see if Merlin's there.